This is Short Hammer. It is the 13th of June, 2021, and this is Trading Zones. Um, Market was interesting last week. We did move to the upside. And so, what we want to look at is where are we now? So, looking at the M&N-Qs, we're headed back to the all-time highs. It looks like, right? We see continuation today when the market opens around 6. Um, do we see continuation to the upside? And can we break and hold above the 14,020s, meaning extension above these wicks and continuation to the upside? Do we make all-time highs, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we do have the Fed minutes, I believe, this week. So that should have an impact on the market as far as their outlook on interest rates, their outlook on repo, reverse repo, and sort of how they view that, whether they view that as positive or negative for the market, even though it's a natural process of the market. Um, what they're going to do with their balance sheet, right? So there's so many different things that people are going to be watching for to get a clue from the Fed as to their market outlook, and then how they'll move from there to either tighten the screws a little bit or to let things go and loosen things up a little bit to allow more expansion in the market. So we'll see. So if I'm looking at the Qs, as I mentioned earlier, we have to break the 14,020s. If we pull back, we'll have this trend line. If you run that along the bottom of these lower waves, um, and it looks as if that's something, right? We have to see how that works out. So I didn't draw the zones for these upper levels, but if we do break these all-time highs, I will be utilizing pivots to trade it because these zones are for retracement trading only, and they are not necessarily predictive in nature as pivots are. Pivots are predictive in nature, right? And my retracement zones are not. So let's see if we continue to the upside. If we break, you wanted to break these tops. That's what you want to see. These tops here on the 27th of April, the 29th of April, the 18th of April. So, back in April, you want to break those highs and you want to see a massive squeeze. That's if you're bullish. If you're bearish, you want us to feather here, but you want some strong sell candles, letting it be known that it's clear that there are no buyers up here. That's what you want. You want this to reject anything above the 1420s, 14,020. You want anything to go right back down. So we'll see if that happens or does not happen. But excuse me, just ate and had something really spicy. One of the things you want to watch for is tech names, right? Tech has been under pressure. If tech continues to bounce and continues to buy up, that should definitely help take the top off the Qs and give us a nice squeeze. So we'll see. So if you're watching the Qs, if you're trading futures or if you're trading equities and you're just you're in the individual stock itself, watching this for the tech sector may be interesting because it may give you a little bit of momentum that may take those names higher. But as on the Qs, let me give you these levels that we're watching. A break of the 14,026 area would be great. And if not, you'd kind of want to hold if we pull back above these 13,793s by 13,818 zone. The next zone that we have is 13,873 by 13,901. And up here, we just have our supply demand lines. This is 13,955. The next line above it is 14,026. So we'll see how the Qs go this upcoming weekend if the buyers are present. But just be careful and watch these levels. If we get pullbacks to these levels, what you're looking for is a reversal, right? Where you see, like we had this drop down into this area. If you look on the lower time frame, you'll see where price was trying to halt. But then what you take a look at is volume also increasing. So if those two things are true, then you have to make a judgment call on what you want to do with that information. Just a quick opinion. MES. So MES tag those all-time highs, pull back. We see continuation through here, a gap up before Monday's open would be beautiful here. and just get a nice squeeze and separation from this level that's been slightly turbulent. Our line to the downside is 4203. Then it's 4168.50, 4142, 4110, 4074, and 4015. So we may be making, new highs, all-time highs. And if that does happen, just see if you find a safe entry in, whether that be on a pullback, and trade using the structure, right? And for example, if you see this candle, so it breaks the highs of these candles, right? And you see this going, um, you wouldn't get in here. You'd wait for the pullback. See the red candle here, and then you could choose to either purchase at a level with the stop below a level, or stop at the lows of the day, or lows of the session, I should say. Or if you feel that the move is so strong and you see this bullishness, you follow that move up. Just my opinion. Okay, so we'll see what we get next week. I will be watching all of these things. Move to the Russ. Come on. Here is the Russ headed back up. Beautiful thing. We want to see a break of the 2340s, and we want to see just a run, right? Right now, we're above the 2313s. We did pull back into it, that 2313 by 2301. We bought back out of that area, which looks really nice here. Now we want to break these highs up here around 2365. So we'll see if we're able to do that, or if we run into a little bit of turbulence in this zone here, this area here. So watching this closely, but this looks good. What you want to see, if you're wanting the RTY to go up, you want those small cap stocks to get some energy, and you also want banks and credit unions to also get some energy. That would help to drive the RTY up. So keep an eye on that, right? If the RTY begins to run, just keep an eye on Goldman Sachs, and also JPM. Those are actually pretty interesting. Okay. Over to Amazon, or as we say, Amazon. It held, right? And what we discussed was, you wanted to see, when you see these lines and you see something dip into those lines with strength, what you want to see is a strong reversal from that level, which is what you're seeing here. Strong reversal back to the upside. And each time it's gotten near this area, buyers have said no. So that's interesting. So what we want to watch, let me see, where are we? So we got the bounce, 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 bounce. I mean, sellers have said no. And climb over here, back test. Then we have a push. We want an extension above this level. We have that. A back test of the 3293.24 by 3314 would be nice. We'll see if that happens. If we get a back test and then a springboard extension through the top, that would definitely be interesting. But the areas that we mentioned that would be difficult for the market, that would give some sort of a bounce, were the 3193 area, 3142s, and those areas did pretty well in holding those levels. If you're bullish, what you want to see is an extension, continued extension. You love that we broke these two up waves here and that we're squeezing. What you don't want to see is a strong pullback that breaks these levels and get back in the fives. So that will be interesting to watch. You have the levels, you have the zones and everything. If not, check the last video. But keep your eye on Amazon. They definitely have some big things cooking. Of course, didn't pull it up properly. I'm maybe having a problem here trying to get Netflix to pull up. Here's our Netflix, and Netflix does not look happy. There we go. if you remember our discussion last week, we were talking about Netflix's ability to be able to produce content or purchase content at a price that sort of leaves a built-in profit margin for them, right? They kick out a lot of cash to acquire content and to produce content. Um, they have to make sure that that part of the business is profitable somehow. So seeing this drawdown as Netflix ran up when theaters closed down, people couldn't go out of the house. A lot of these things, these properties ran really hot, and now it's like, okay, things are opening back up. There will be less people at home to watch, Netflix. Shouldn't Netflix be headed back down at least a little bit? So I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now, and we're still holding this bottom here, this 485, even though I really have the 460s is an area we could easily fall to. Um, but if this is where we're going to hold the line, this 485, then that's cool because you do want that back test and a squeeze through this 403. What's that? No, 493 into the 500s, right? That's really what you want if you're bullish. If you're bearish, you want this thing to get below the 485, extend to 475, and you really, 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 really want a break of the 460s and a drop into the 450s is what you'd really like to see here. So we'll see how Netflix plays out, but I think that's interesting. NVIDIA, I didn't really trade this last week, I don't think, but yeah, I have to double check. But just insane, right? Chip companies are coming and they're finally here. We're seeing the squeeze here. What I'll recommend on NVIDIA, I don't have, haven't drawn any lines in for those levels. I would look at hmm, I would wait, for some sort of a pullback before diving into this, even though the narrative surrounding it is super positive. I would wait for a pullback and then look for a long setup out of a strong area. That's what I'll be looking for on NVIDIA. Apple. Apple really needs to clear the 127.40s we mentioned last week. Anything below this, slightly bearish. So we want to clear here, and you want separation from this 127 45 line, because above that, once we get that separation, that's when you can look at the situations and they can change. Um, so yeah, Apple above this area is super interesting. Above the 127.40s is interesting. Apple below that area is more, a contract here or shares here and there, and just fading this bad boy back down. Um, really do want to see that push through. So that's interesting. Microsoft, if you remember what we mentioned was, over the 251s, keep an eye out for 254. It did that. Look at that squeeze. Beautiful. Um, so what we need to happen on Microsoft, oh, it did it here. It's holding above the 256. Is from here a squeeze into the 260s. That would be interesting. And a challenge of all-time highs would be even more interesting. But strong company, we mentioned it many times. Many of their departments are doing well. They're profitable, I believe, in all sectors. They're producing well, and they're doing a bit of testing around what they do. So definitely really interesting company. So we want to see what we want to see is an extension from this 257.30s to the 260s, even the 259.70s, and see if volume continues to push up and increase. If not, then keep your eye on, where is he? No, it's there. No. I'm gonna leave that alone. But definitely watch this closely, right? See if we can hold above the 257.30s and we can get a squeeze. If we dip, watch out for the 254.90s is the first area where the buyers would step in. Mhm. If you're wondering why I'm breezing through these, oh, got some stuff to do today. Kids Day. Um, so this is Intel, and on Intel, what we want to see is a hold above this 5870s and a constant squeeze to the upside. Like every week you want to see a squeeze. That's what it looks like we have here is we're squeezing to the upside. Mm, yeah, this is nice. Okay. So we'll see if we get extension on Intel up through the 5880s. It's holding here above the 5690s. The next lower line is 5571. Then below that is 5358. We'll see if we get some strong continuation here up into the 5880s and beyond through the 1690s, maybe even a squeeze above that. But Intel's interesting, but not super interested yet for me personally. Um, Facebook. So Facebook is meandering near the all-time highs, and what we want to see is for it to get above that and get super bullish, and we start to see some gap ups and some extensions through that level. Um, let's see. If it does sell, I'll watch this lower area here at the 321.77. But it does look as if the buyers are going to keep this bad boy up and give us a squeeze above the top here, 331.64. So we'll see how that works out. That's interesting. CMG, we're looking at them trying to dig out here. I do believe we're going to get a squeeze. They just released a new promotional. So, I would say we're headed up here somewhere. Um, okay. All righty. So you want continued buying here. You want to break this high wave here, and you want a smooth squeeze directly into the 1421 areas. That's what you want to see here on CMG if you're bullish. So we'll see how this goes. If it holds up, but CMG is definitely on the list for this week. Very interesting. McDonald's looks like it may want to GO, pushing all-time highs. What we want is look how these candles look super bullish. We want an extension above these upper wicks, and we want then from that point to get more to look for a long setup here, because if this breaks this all-time high area, it's sort of been bubbling post earnings. If it does get up there and begins to squeeze, this may be a good setup just based on how McDonald's works. We shall see. Tesla. This is going to be super short. So Tesla held the Sophie levels. So now what we want to see is a break of this high wave. Like this needs to get up here and get through the 630s. And once we do that, then we can start to see a little bit of serious volume pouring in my opinion. Um, Still meandering, can still reject the 616s and sell off down to these Sophie levels, but we definitely want this to go higher. You know, Tesla's under pressure from Microsoft with the new trucks from Ford, right? They have the bigger F-150 electric, and they also have the smaller hybrid, which is a smaller pickup truck. So I do think that they're really doing a great job of, at least appears to be doing a great job of servicing their clients. So Ford is doing a really good job. That's what people are looking for. Tesla, be careful. Ford is pushing. But we definitely want to break the 616s and see bullish continuation above that to open up the 650s. Until we see that, we don't really have anything to the upside, in my opinion. To the downside, watch these Sophie levels. At any one of those levels, you may see price reverse. So we just want to be careful of that. But don't wherever Tesla goes, Tesla's a pretty good company. So we'll see if these little mishaps could be causing Elon some serious pain. But that is interesting. Take a peek at JPM. Nice pullback on the financials. So I'll be watching JPM and also watching Goldman Goldman Sachs. I want to see if there's a reversal that comes in here. If the buyers do step in and push us back up, if we get back above the 160, 160 area, I'll be long. And if it drops down here, 156.78, that's even better. I'd love to get long from down there. We'll see if that happens. Goldman Sachs, same thing. You see this thing, making all-time high, then it's selling down for some strange reason. Okay. But definitely like Goldman Sachs, it's holding this uptrend. If you hear me going in and out, it's a little interesting. Had to move my setup really quickly, get everything together. But so it's really interesting right now. But you want this to keep going up, up, up. Watch the waves. If the prior wave is significantly lower than the yeah, look at that. So we shall see. Definitely like how Goldman Sachs looks, right? Wouldn't it be logical if we pull back into this area here? 367.55. Okie dokie. So we'll see how this plays out on Goldman. But definitely, when you're trading financials, you really need to keep your eye on the interest rates and sort of what people are expecting to happen, and also seeing if there are any news that come out about banks. This could be really interesting. Um, on Goldman, you can sort of dig into it and figure out why they beat this earnings. How housing prices are going up. There's not as much supply, but that's something that you could dig into to run through their earnings report and see what you could find if you're interested in a stock like this. I'd recommend the same thing with JPM, but we'll see if this upcoming week is not a little bit tough for a little bit tough as far as just all these different equities in their range, right? Because a lot of places are showing and saying that volatility is building up. We'll sort of see what that does, because contraction leads to expansion. We'll see where that expansion takes us. Let me go over to the SPY. It's gonna be above all my lines. At least it should be. Yep. Look at this smooth. This is even smoother. Watching this break, hold and squeeze. Mm-hmm. So if this stays above this 420 area, then that's good. You want it to continue to climb. If it stays above this 418.22, it's a long way, but if it stays above there, it can continue to climb, continue to work. We see. If you like this video, please don't hesitate to tap that subscribe button. And if you'd like to receive more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Power of Pivots, where you can look forward to receiving not just content from me, but content from Elisa as she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot strategy to find great pre-market, midday, and entry level, just entry levels there for different setups, different positions through her pivot strategy. Pardon me, distracted. My kids are tripping. It's too funny. Um, and yes. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great week of trading. My apologies if this video was a little bit distracted. Very fun weekend. Still, of course, socially distancing, but just doing a lot of different things and still have a lot to do before the weekend is over. The kids have many requests and we're trying to fulfill them all, spoil them as much as we can. That's what we do. Thanks again. Have a great week of trading. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great week.